Worthless. A name you would never give your child. But his parents had done just that. He came into this world after, and an afterthought he was. Born to the first man on this earth and the first woman on this earth. He was the second son of Adam and Eve. To say that he had the odds against him would be an understatement. Just the chapter before he comes to the scene, God kicked his parents out of paradise, the Garden of Eden. They had everything and more, but they screwed up. The one thing God told his parents not to do, they did. So here you have the second son of the parents who stained the entire world with one choice, one bite. Was he a nuisance to his parents? We don't know. We can clearly see, though, that when compared to his brother, he was second. Or worse, he was worthless. His brother? Yes, allow me to introduce you to the brother. His name is Cain. His name means acquisition. He was valued by his parents from day one. But the worthless one, Abel, he's the one we resonate with. In fact, he's the one who pleased God despite his name and despite his parents, despite the wounds to his self-worth. He reminds me of Harry Potter, the one who was just put up with at home. We give him a room under the stairs out of pity. He gets the scraps. He is worthless. Have you ever felt invisible? No good, worthless? Every time someone uttered his name, Abel was reminded of these feelings. As the years went by, both brothers began working. Scripture says when they grew up, Abel became a shepherd, while Cain cultivated the ground. Genesis 4:2b. So here they are, they both are contributing. Abel, the humble shepherd who likely stayed with his sheep 24/7. Cain, the favored gardener who was able to retreat home after a day's work. You see, shepherding is dirty work, hard work, and isolating work. Abel knew this. He knew it well. And when it came time for the harvest, Scripture says this: Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. Genesis 4:3-5a. What made Abel's gift acceptable to God and Cain's not? The difference was between some and best. Cain brought some of what he had to offer. Abel brought the best he had to offer. Just think about the difference between these two four-letter words. I'll give some of my effort toward this project. I'll give my best effort toward this project. I'll tell you some advice about life that will help you a bit. I'll tell you my best advice about life that will help you a lot. I'll give God some of my time this week. I'll give God the best time I have this week. I'll give some if I have any left. I'll give my best no matter what. As you can see, the gap is rather large between some and best. God accepted Abel's best. He turned away from Cain's leftovers. So this begs a short question to be answered. Do you give God your best, or does he get the leftovers? A dead brother. That's what resulted from this ordeal. Abel gave God his best. Cain gave him some leftovers. God liked Abel's gift. Cain didn't like that God liked his brother's gift more than he liked his. After all, Cain was used to being favored over his brother. Surely this was a rare occasion. Abel won. Not that he was looking at it this way. Cain, overcome by his anger, ended up killing his brother in cold blood. Abel's faith led him to death. He gave his best and Cain didn't. But Cain gave all he had in order to get rid of the man who made him feel inferior. Isn't it ironic? Cain put more effort into getting rid of his righteous brother than he did preparing his gift for the Lord. Hebrews 11 is a chapter filled with accounts of individuals that you will learn more about in the coming days. Abel is one of them. He is remembered by his faithful gift to God. It was no small thing to give God the firstborn lambs in your flock. They were Abel's livelihood. Would he survive without them? It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Yes, by faith he did it. Hebrews 11:4a. See, faith causes us to do things that don't always make sense. Abel had the kind of humility to realize that it was never going to be because of his talent that he would survive in this world. For him, it was by the hand of God that he survived, not by the lambs he guarded and guided. Think about this statement by Pastor Terry K.R. Anderson. Cain's religion was destitute of any adequate sense of sin. So when they got ready to make sacrifices before God, Cain came because he did not have an adequate sense of sin. He came with an inadequate sacrifice. Because when you think that you are not that bad, you don't give God what God requires. From day one, Cain had been showered with affirmation after affirmation that he was favored. But in the end, it was his lack of understanding with just how messy he was that led him to offer an inadequate sacrifice to God and then respond in anger by murdering his younger brother. On the other hand, Abel was reminded day in and day out with just how messy he really was. He knew that he himself had nothing good to offer God, but he knew that he could give God his best because that's the best he could do. That's the thing about being a messy person and being aware of your mess. You know that it is only by God's grace that you have a chance. Abel gave his best by faith, and his life was taken from him because of that faith. The messy man was taken from this world by another man who was surely messy. He just didn't realize it. So what is there to do from all this? In the midst of your mess, give God your best. And understand this, even while you and I were messy and sinful, God sent the greater Abel to die on our behalf by faith. By faith, Jesus entered the mess we call this world, and he gave himself for those who realize they are messy. It was a group of people who were blind to their own mess who killed Jesus, the one who came to clean their mess up. So come to God with your mess today. He is at work cleaning you up from the inside out.